right. Matt, that is a change of scenery for you. You're at City Hall, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm in my office. Isn't it beautiful?
Yeah, 6 months later.
Yep.
Anyway, speaking of 6 months, a lot of big milestones this week is the end of the city's fiscal year today. And so City Council will be going into recess, which means you guys had a lot to finish last night, which is why you went to midnight again. So let's jump in and let's get started with the item that you carried over from last week, the Berryessa Flea Market.
Yeah, great idea. So I'm going to share a couple of visuals here just to give people something to look at. Can you see that okay?
Yeah, good.
Great. Okay. So as I think most people know, we have a new BART station that's opened at Berryessa, North San Jose. And this is exciting. BART can move a lot of people very efficiently, takes cars off the road. It's a great development, and BART eventually will come to downtown San Jose and go all the way over to the Santa Clara station. The topic last night, which has been a big and long conversation, if you read the paper, you've probably read about it in the paper, is that we adopted essentially a new plan for the urban village around this BART station, because this is an area where we should have density. The city needs jobs and we need housing. And if we're gonna build jobs and housing, we should put it near transit, and there's no better transit in the Bay Area than BART. So it's an exciting opportunity. The plan we move forward will allow for the building of millions of square feet of commercial real estate, over 5,000 housing units, a significant number of which will be affordable, which is great. Investments in open and public spaces, including the land is right along the Coyote River, so there's great trail connectivity potential there. So there's a lot to be excited about with this Berryessa urban village next to the BART station. The big topic, which we already covered last week in some detail, so I won't spend too much time on, is what happens to the flea market. It's been there for 50 years, 4 visitors a year, it's an institution, and most importantly, it's a livelihood for hundreds and hundreds of residents who are vendors there. And so, as we mentioned last week, the item was deferred. Ongoing negotiations between the landowner of the flea market and the vendors. The landowner did agree to put additional money into the transition fund, and that's great news. And we are now moving forward. So the flea market, as it currently exists, will be there in operation for at least 3 more years. Some of the vendors may choose to transition out, but they're protected for up to 3 years. They now have $5 million in a transition fund, which is great. And the plan that we passed last night includes space for a public market that could be really cool. It could be very unique. It should continue to be a destination. It'll add some extra character by preserving some of the tradition. It's going to change. It's going to be different. But the fact that we think we can still have an open public market that accommodates a lot of the vendors and is a fun and vibrant thing to go visit, especially on the weekends when there will be fewer commuters on BART. I mean, it should work out really well. There's a lot of work to go. Have to give a shout out to Councilmember Cohen in particular for working very, very hard on this with the vendors and the landowner and city staff. And I'm excited about the plan. Every development presents trade-offs. Displacement is a reality, and we can never completely eliminate it, but doing what we can to mitigate the impacts on those who are displaced is really important. So I'll share just one more visual of just a visualization of what it could be. And you'll see the BART station here in the middle, the open plaza and market area. These are the tracks here in purple. You see the Coyote Creek, and then mixed use, walkable, denser urban village, which to me is how the city ought to build out, and what the future of development in San Jose really ought to look like. So I think it's exciting. I'm glad we're moving forward.
All right, let's move forward indeed. The other big item was this was your second week of going over some gun safety regulations in San Jose. It's part of a bigger package the mayor put together. This week was a little bit more contentious, I think, and I know you and Councilmember Davis put together a memo that also got included. So I'll let you take that away.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So the mayor in particular, but he's working with some of my other colleagues, has put forward a set of proposals. I believe there were 9 different proposals to address gun violence and the kind of costs and harm of guns in our community. And some of those provisions I really strongly support. So I think expanding gun buybacks makes a lot of sense. Expanding, I don't think he called it this, but kind of early intervention, red flag type laws that allow you to intervene and identify individuals who probably shouldn't own guns, or who may be a danger to themselves or others with a gun. Suicide prevention. I think there's a lot more we could do around mental health. Gun violence restraining orders. So if somebody's been involved in a domestic dispute, creating tools for SJPD to make a determination that maybe guns need to be removed from that household. I think it was a very promising idea, very supportive of that. Where Councilmember Davis and I had some concerns based on feedback from literally hundreds of concerned residents who are legal and I think responsible gun owners, was the financial burden and the incredible hassle of trying to purchase insurance and then pay annual fees related to their guns. And no other city has passed a requirement that you have insurance for your gun. The mayor sort of modeled this on the idea that, cars can be very dangerous. We're required to have car insurance to operate a car. And the same should be true for guns. And I think there is some logic there. I also think the challenge is there are real constitutional barriers. Cars are not named in the Constitution as a fundamental right. For better or worse, that is true for guns in the US. And so basically, just to sum it up, the provision that Councilmember Davis and I put forward and were actually included, which I was surprised by, but was good. I mean, I think my colleagues thought it was worth at least exploring, directed staff to come back with an analysis of whether or not we can add a responsible gun owner exemption for the insurance and fees for gun owners who go above and beyond in terms of their training certification and the means that they take to secure their guns with a gun safe. And there may be other things we can do, but basically the argument is if a gun owner hits a certain bar of safety training and securing the weapons, I think there ought to be exemptions or reductions in the fees. And really, I'm just trying to turn down the volume on this. I think it's an issue that has a lot of emotion, a lot of controversy. People have their heels really dug in on both sides of this. And I do see it from both sides. I grew up in the country, grew up around guns. I know people who have guns as family heirlooms. They don't even shoot anymore, may not even have ammunition for. I also know that gun violence is a real issue in our country and that we need to do more to prevent it. And so I'm trying to bring people together and identify common sense tweaks to what the mayor's trying to do so that gun owners who are responsible in our community don't feel punished and to hopefully avoid the kind of the constitutional battle that I think we're going to have either way, but to maybe lessen the impact of that. So that was the spirit of it. I was pleasantly surprised that it moved forward. All of these were just direction to staff to come back. This conversation is going to only continue. So we'll keep you updated as it comes back to council.
Yeah, I think something a lot of people don't realize is just because city council votes for a thing doesn't mean it happens right away. A lot of times you're instructing staff, hey, go do this research, or hey, go write this ordinance, which is my segue into the Sideshow Ordinance that you guys asked the city attorney to look into back in March, and it's back now.
That's right. Yeah, and it did pass, and we're the first city in the country, as far as I know, that has a legal restriction on promoting sideshows, but specifically based on a nuance of state law that already outlaws promoting the races themselves. It's illegal to to organize, promote, gather spectators for a sideshow. And it's really, that's kind of a nuance, but it's just another tool for our police department to prosecute what really is dangerous and illegal activity, which is any participation in these illegal sideshows that are incredibly dangerous and have led to a lot of criminal activity and a lot of risk and even death in our community. And so we're trying to crack down. This is one more tool. It gives them one more angle on prosecuting participation in, and in this case, promotion of sideshows. And the real goal here is deterrence. We do not want these illegal and dangerous sideshows in San Jose, and we're going to do everything we can to crack down on them, to dissuade people from doing this in San Jose. Hopefully they don't do it anywhere, but we definitely don't want them doing it in our neighborhoods. And that's really the spirit of this. And I'm glad it moved forward.
Yeah. All right. One last thing. I think it's a reflection of the reality we're shifting into as the pandemic begins to abate. You're at City Hall. I'm at home. Hybrid meetings are probably going to be part of our future for a long time. And you and your colleagues voted to direct staff to start moving in that direction. I'll let you dive into that.
Yeah, so I wrote a memo a couple of months ago that went to rules and was co-signed by a number of my colleagues that basically directed city staff to come back with a plan for facilitating hybrid meetings, by which we mean people can be in person, but also call in and participate via phone. Has kind of been the case for many years, but now via video conference like we're doing right now over Zoom. And so staff came back with the plan. It's good. It acknowledges the fact that it's going to be a process. We have a lot of different types of public meetings. It's not just city council. We have committees, we have boards, we have commissions. They don't all meet at City Hall. So we have some facilities issues and upgrading technology. There's a lot to figure out. But staff is committed to and has a plan over the course of the fall and all the way into 2022 to help all of our bodies transition their meetings to being truly hybrid meetings. There's another barrier that's kind of interesting, which is state law. So we have this thing called the Brown Act that has a bunch of restrictions on public meetings and public officials and how they can communicate. And one of the provisions requires that if you are participating in a meeting remotely, which until now has always been by conference call, basically, that you notice the public 72 hours in advance, which is fine, but that you also note your location and allow any member of the public to join you at that location. So in this kind of new world that we live in, I just can't imagine a commissioner on the neighborhood, commission who's just a, member of the public having to put their home address and invite their, anyone in the community, anyone in the city really to come into their living room for the meeting. That seems a little outdated. And so I'm hoping the state legislature is going to update those rules to better facilitate hybrid meetings. And I think our staff is committed. We have to make some investments in technology and staffing, but it lowers barriers to participation. We had a bunch of public comment last night from people who said that if we didn't have this Zoom option, they would not be able to participate, and they really appreciate the opportunity to watch the meeting at home with their kids after dinner or whatever it is that they're doing. And so I'm a big believer and glad that we're moving in that direction.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up the Neighborhoods Commission. Actually, we are looking to recruit some people for some District 10 Commission positions. Neighborhoods is one of them. I will link to the post with all the D10 positions we're looking for in the comments. So yeah, please reach out to us at District 10, San Jose CA, if any of those seem interesting to you.
Yeah, I really hope people will consider joining a commission. It is a great way to serve the community. It's a great way to learn, to meet other engaged citizens, and just get more involved. And for many of those, you have the opportunity to collaborate with our office more as well. So if you have a little time and an interest, please do check those out.
Yeah, agreed. So this is our last city council recap until August. I know we're going to be spending the recess doing a little bit of recharging, but also we'll be out in the community. And as always, we're here for you guys. If you need anything, email us, contact us over social media, and stay safe because July, it's getting a little toasty out there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Stay safe, everybody. Happy 4th.
Happy 4th.